For the first time in what seems like an absolute age, we finally have some proper Death Stranding gameplay, although your definition of proper gameplay may differ from whatever this is. In addition to a new 7-minute cinematic trailer, Kojima Productions live streamed almost 50 minutes of brand new gameplay footage from the Tokyo Game Show, which is happening right now until this Sunday the 15th. Since the footage is from TGS, which is of course in Japan, the gameplay has Japanese voiceover and text, so there is only so much information we can glean from it at this point. The gameplay itself doesn't look like a live demo and seems pre-recorded, with Kojima on stage to narrate, accompanied by the biggest Kojima fangirl I think I've ever seen.
鳥がでサインが出ます。30名降り
If any of you played Kojima's last game, Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, you'll see a lot of familiar game design choices here. The way the UI of the menus looks is very similar, and everything seems to move with a similar weight, despite being on a different engine. Much of MGS5's gameplay involved extensive menu management and resource application, and it looks like Kojima has cranked that dial all the way up to 11 in Death Stranding.
What we do is if we need that extra push over the cliff, you know what we do?
Put it up to 11.
11, exactly.
We see the player equipping several different boxes on the character Sam's body. These boxes seem to function as your inventory for your items and equipment, but also as the delivery packages you'll find out in the world. We also see later on that the boxes themselves can be used as weapons, but at the expense of whatever was inside being damaged or destroyed. We do also see that there is an item which can repair damaged boxes. The player can also deploy a trolley to carry the boxes for them instead of lugging them around on your back like a kid at their first day of high school. You will be able to store multiple boxes on your back as well as your arms and legs, and you can hold one in each hand. All of these boxes seem to have a weight value associated with them. This means that you'll have to manage how much you're carrying or risk becoming over-encumbered like in other RPGs, as well as looking like a total tool. Also attached to Sam's back are several pairs of boots. This links to the game's survival mechanics where your boots will degrade over time and will need to be replaced to continue. However, this isn't quite as simple as de-equipping and re-equipping in the menu. I mean, it's a Kojima game, what else would you expect? Instead, in true self-indulgent Kojima fashion, the player will have to set themselves down for a little rest and take off the boots manually. Then we'll get a great look at the horrendous damage to Sam's feet from all that walking. Now, I know Kojima is often thought of as the Tarantino of gaming, but did he really have to do all the weird feet stuff too? The boots each appear to have a level rating, so there will be some progression of acquiring higher grade items and equipment to make your mission easier. Speaking of your mission, as I said earlier, we also got a new 7-minute cinematic trailer called the Briefing Trailer. This is possibly the most clear-cut and easily digestible trailer we've seen for this ridiculous game. And even then, it's still pretty ambiguous. In it, we see the character Die Hard Man explaining the mission to Sam. Sam's job is to reconnect the world after the Death Stranding. In the game, Death Stranding or The Death Stranding refers to the event which caused all of the problems you'll be addressing in the game. This is what caused all the strange creatures, known as BTs, and supernatural events such as void outs to come to the human world. BTs are also known as beached things.
You're a goddamn genius! That's the most outstanding answer I've ever heard. You must have a goddamn IQ of 160. You are goddamn gifted.
This is a general term for the weird beings you see floating around the game world in Death Stranding. They are invisible to humans and have some sort of connection to another dimension or plane of existence. Sam has a condition called the Doom, which means he can sense them but not quite see them. They can be seen by BBs, or bridge babies. Again with the names Kojima, and Sam carries one strapped to his chest and will have to keep it calm and happy throughout the game. The expression Death Stranding itself refers to when whales and other aquatic creatures beach, or strand, themselves on shores to die. One popular theory is that BDs are stranding in our world when they die and can't go to the next world, but as lazy writing in Star Wars told us,
good question. For another time.
Sam's mission is all about reconnecting the broken world and repairing the damage done to American society. The player themselves will be doing this by manually plotting a route across the country, and it seems that this is the core gameplay loop in the open world, probably with the odd 20-minute cutscene here and there. It is a Kojima game after all. This is probably why Kojima chose to make a game and not a movie, although it basically is a movie given all those bloody cutscenes. But this is all because he wants to put players in control of the action but tell his own sort of story. We won't really know how well that idea gels until until the game comes out on November the 8th, but personally I'm getting some mixed signals. But it seems like the bulk of the gameplay will be Sam heading from the west coast, presumably starting in Washington DC based on trailers set in the White House, all the way across to the Pacific coast on the east, which, if you don't know, is just shy of 3,000 miles, so I would expect the game world to be pretty big if you've got to cover so much of the US. But there's no word on how interesting that world will actually be, and how many times before have we seen open worlds feel empty and shallow. But to be honest, Kojima's romanticization of America is something that I will never truly understand. During Sam's mission, he'll have to avoid the aforementioned BTs and other forces, which we'll come back to later, or risk being eaten by that strange black goo we've been seeing everywhere. In the gameplay stream, we see this happen, and then Sam is taken to another place flooded by more black goo. That's it, folks, I've cracked it. Death Stranding is secretly a remake of the 1958 classic horror movie, The Blob. I'll see myself out. In this place, we see a boss fight with the huge cat-like creature we saw in last year's Tokyo Game Show trailer, which was summoned by Higgs, the leader of the terrorist group the Homo Demons, played by Troy Baker. This fight mainly consists of the player throwing different grenade types at the monster and eventually whittling it down, which isn't particularly exciting. What is interesting about this fight is what looks like other players throwing resource containers to Sam. An element of multiplayer functionality was already confirmed for the game, but it was unclear what shape this would actually take. To me, this looks like an evolution of the Dark Souls/Bloodborne system, where players aren't present in the same instance of your game world, but they can leave behind notes, clues, and in this case, even items. Elsewhere in the stream, we see Sam using a ladder left behind by someone else, as he could even leave a like on it. Everything left by other players in the world seems to be interactable and can be liked. So Death Stranding is Facebook now.
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
Linking back to what else you'll be fighting in the open world, we see the player arrive at a base camp full of enemies to fight and resources to collect. Stealth is where Kojima cut his teeth, so it's no surprise that it's an option here, as we can see the player garrote an enemy with a rope called Strand. All about those connections, Kojima, connecting a rope to your neck and your face to the floor. It's unclear who these guys are, but it seems unlikely to me that they are with Higgs and his Homo Demons or Mads Mikkelsen's character Cliff, so maybe there's another group we don't know about yet. In the camp, the player loots a container and equips a new exoskeleton which allows Sam to sprint faster and leap huge gaps to escape pursuers. This is another example of your character-based progression, and maybe it'll even be upgradable. When fleeing the camp, the player briefly commandeers a car and later rides a bike, which was previously seen at E3. Unfortunately, just like the fight with the big cat thing, the combat encounter isn't particularly exciting because the player chose to retreat rather than engage. We do see them using a gun called the bowler gun, which launches cables at enemies to bind them together. Like the boots, this gun has a level rating, so expect some kind of weapon progression. This gun is also used later to bind the BTs, so works on supernatural and human foes. In the boss battle with that big lion thing, we also see Sam use a weapon called the anti-BT handgun. You can briefly see the item description, which says it's a hematic weapon, which means that it's powered by blood, and when the player aims it, they can click the right stick to, fill with blood. Nice. This game is definitely embracing how bloody weird it is. The main thing I learned from this gameplay stream is how much of Death Stranding's focus is on survival mechanics, which I'm personally a huge fan of. You'll have to maintain your equipment and weapons, you'll be able to sleep, take care of your BB, we all know how great Kojima is at naming stuff, you can bath or shower, and let's not forget the pissing from the last trailer. When we see Sam back at his base, a notification appears saying that his blood has been restored, which links back to that anti-BT handgun. The game is being shown again at TGS tomorrow, so we may get more information then, but I doubt we'll get anything else after that until the game officially releases on the 8th of November. It's very difficult to fit a 50-minute gameplay video into a discussion, so let me know if I've missed anything important down in the comments below. Are you excited for this game? Is it far too up its own arse, or is this batshit story totally your thing? Personally, I'm undecided, but I'm open to your convincing arguments in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, hit subscribe and that bell to stay up to date on our content, help support the channel over at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. I've been Henry, this has been some Death Stranding gameplay analysis. I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.